What's up, everybody? It has been a very long time since we've done one of these live streams. I think it's been June of 2024. So, I was in the process of building this room to do other YouTube videos, and I originally built this with the mindset that I was going to live stream in here as well, but then I just never did. It's a little bit more difficult live streaming without somebody to talk to because you're just sitting in a room by yourself talking to yourself, but I can do it. I've done it before. So, but for a purpose. I don't just sit in rooms and aimlessly talk by myself. But yeah, I figured I would get back into this. It's been a while. 2024, we're closing it out and we're getting back into normalcy, I guess, of the way I used to kind of do some stuff. I've started doing some more Whatnot auctions, and I've got some more videos I want to do. But yeah, this is a brand new streaming service for us, a brand new platform, microphone, camera setup. So if there's any issues on your end, let me know, because I may or may not be able to fix it. Microphone sounds weird. Let's see if I could fix that with this here button. Does that improve anything at this point? What's up, Blake? Hopefully that echo is now canceled out. I know, 2 shares. I gotta fix that photo. Let's see. Let me know if that echo's been solved. Frampton comes alive like with the talk box. All right. Maybe that's what I needed to do. How about now? I'm clicking buttons, I promise. Let's see. It's worse now. Okay, we'll unclick that. All right. Not better. Let me try this. Oh, I know what the problem is. Give me a second. More gooder. All right, is it better now? Are we perfect? I clicked enough buttons. I wish I knew the exact buttons that I did click. All good. We're good. Okay. This is a new, like I said, streaming platform. I did a little bit of testing. The microphone, how's the sound though? Is it better or is it good? Because I did some testing on my own last night, streaming to like a private stream. And this is a pretty good platform. The camera quality is pretty good. And the audio is pretty good. I didn't get the echo last night. I'm not messing with it anymore. I'm done pushing buttons. At least until I know what the hell I pushed. Room needs a bit of room correction. All right, let's see what, now that we got that squared away. Oh my God, look at this. This is fantastic. So, yeah, that was a hell of a record show. It's still the best record show that I've ever been to. And the one that they had in Utrecht was significantly better. They moved it to Den Bosch. But I went to one of the early Den Bosch shows. I've heard it's rapidly improved since I've went, but I'm looking forward to going back. It's been kind of hard just finding the time. But maybe this coming up year. I'm not 100% sure. I'm hoping. All right. Got a super chat. When am I getting the new Bad Bunny in my store? I'm not getting it. I don't know if I'm getting a bad. Am I? Is there a new Bad Bunny coming out? I don't follow it. One of my customers is a big Bad Bunny fan. His name's Ty. He's tried getting me into Bad Bunny. He's bought a few records for me. Gave them to me, and it's just not been my thing. But maybe it'll come in the future. He's quite popular. He sold out Chase Field, our baseball ballpark here. I think he did like a back-to-back sellout, 2 nights in a row. So it's impressive. This is a good question. So Kevin Gray recently did an interview, a podcast, where he did mention that I think the quote was, "One steps are a total scam," and then he wouldn't elaborate on it. The problem is I'm not in the position to be able to compare a record as a one-step and then a record not as a one-step. Do you know what I mean? With everything else being equal, the same mastering, the same, everything the same. And other people are. I have heard things in the industry. I've essentially heard that it's a mechanical problem as far as the production of the one step. I've heard this from other people. I've heard this for quite a while now, but the thing is I can't confirm it personally because I'm not in a position to manufacture these records, make identical lacquers, have one done as a one-step process and have one done as the traditional 3-step process and figure out, which is better. But from what I have heard, there's an issue in manufacturing and you have to mitigate the issues. And one of the ways to mitigate the issues is you have to prep the lacquer in a way that diminishes all of the benefits of the one step. So then you end up with a record that has the similar sound of what you'd get on a traditional 3-step record or worse. So yeah, he did not elaborate. So, oh, did he? So I only saw the snippet. Okay, so there we go. I didn't listen to the podcast. Somebody sent me a 10-second snippet. But yes, I have heard this. But the thing is, there's no way to tell. Like, I've got a ton of one-steps that sound good. I did that top 10 analog videos of analog records of 2024, and I put the Isaac Hayes on there. It sounds absolutely fantastic. The thing is, I don't know, like, none of us know what that record would sound like if it was a traditional 3-step. So we don't really I don't have the opportunity to do it. Now, other people would. Mobile Fidelity would. Now, it is interesting that Mobile Fidelity, with the last one step, kind of threw everybody for a loop, the Mariah Carey, because the Mariah Carey wasn't on super vinyl. So like that shows like they have the ability, and they said it was for sound reasons. They have the ability to do, because they have a pressing plant now, they can make a lacquer up, they can press it on super vinyl, press it on black vinyl, do a test. They have the ability to do the same thing with the one steps. Is the 1-step, 3-step better? So I mean, they have the ability to do that. The rest of us don't. So, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, so essentially what happens is the plating has to get the silver. I think it's the silver. I don't know if it's the nickel. To get the silver off, silver plate, you have to etch the vinyl. And doing that, I guess, essentially, theoretically, again, I don't know, damages the high frequency that's gained, the sound advantage that's gained by the one-step process. So, there you go. Do low serial numbers affect an album's value? Very low serial numbers affect the value. When you start getting serial numbers like in the hundreds or even in modern records, you start getting serial numbers in the hundreds or even in the high double digits, it's not that big of a deal. Vintage records where they, like the Beatles' White Album, where they made like 1 million copies, you start getting real low numbers, like sub 10,000. It does increase the value. But for MoFi records, these modern records, not really until you start getting into the real low numbers. I would say maybe the first 10. Like I've got the White Album, not the White Album, I've got the Beatles Mobile Fidelity box set. I've got box number 9. That has an increased value to it. I've been offered like 4 times what a non-low number would be worth. So yeah, it's like a case-by-case basis, you know. But for the most part with modern records, it would have to be extremely low to be more valuable. Okay, let's see. This whole new platform is quite crazy. It's got the super chats up here. Does it tell me how many folks are watching? Tells me how many comments. Yeah, 218. Yeah, it's not bad. I thought for my first stream back in almost 8 months that I was going to be sitting here interacting with myself. Let's see. That's a good question here. What's up, Fluffy? Let's see. Mike had the opportunity to check out the listening room at the in-groove. Totally excellent. Thanks, Mike. We sat there. He came in. He was vacationing, and we listened to some Mark Blakey, which I had in my crate of records, my demo records. This was the Mariah Carey was. It's funny because I love the record. I like holiday music. When it's holiday, when it's end of November, when it's December, I like putting holiday records on, and I get a lot of blowback because it's Mariah Carey, but I'm not a Mariah Carey fan at all. I own 0 Mariah Carey records now except for that one, but it's a good Christmas album. Did I want to spend $100 on it? No. Do I want it as a double disc 45 RPM? No. That's kind of a tough one. I wish there was a nice high quality, cheaper version, just like a normal 33 RPM MoFi, but obviously Sony was the barrier for them on that. They probably didn't allow that to happen. So I actually had number 100 walk into the store. So the US copy, number 100, walked into the store, and I facilitated an auction through a buddy of mine to sell the copy. Through a buddy of mine, Perry Cox, who's recognized as one of the top Beatle experts in the world. I put that customer in touch with him, and he ran an auction for it. And I think it actually went for significantly lower than it should have. This was pre the COVID boom, and I felt like it should have been much more valuable. I think it went for around $3,500. Did he say if it was ever going to be released? Because that would be interesting. No, that's not the truth. That is not the uncomfortable truth. The technology, these mastering systems are improving all the time. When I went to Expono with Kevin Gray, or we met up. We didn't fly together or anything, but when I went, he was talking to vendors about technology that would improve his mastering chain. He wasn't even at this stage in the game, to where he's not a spring chicken, and he's very well respected in the industry as one of the top mastering engineers. He's still looking to better his system, and that's been going on, I'm sure, for decades and decades, and I'm sure other mastering engineers are doing that, and they're making improvements to their system, and things are getting better. So, especially manufacturing of records. I've been listening to some of the new Fidelity records coming from the MoFi pressing plant. That Mariah Carey, the non-one-step, is kind of a perfect example. That was the most whisper quiet, perfect vinyl record that I've gotten in a long time. I mean, that was super vinyl from the 80s, the JVC super vinyl. quiet. I mean, that level of quality it's improving, and the other plants are stepping it up too. So things are definitely getting better. No, that is the same clear audio turntable that is literally nothing more than a prop. I need to sell that thing because that's not the cheapest turntable. It's a clear audio Ovation with the universal tone arm pricey prop. I need to put something else there. Oh. Excuse me. It sold okay. The problem I think I had with that record in particular wasn't it was too damn close to Christmas. Like, Christmas records need to come out in October. There needs to be time for dealers to get them. There needs to be time for issues with the, UPS, with the transit, to where if it comes a couple of days later, it's not the end of the world. There needs to be a buffer, and there needs to be time to market and sell those records. That record came out like a week before Christmas. So, I mean, do the math. It came to me, and then I had to ship it to people. Most people didn't even get that record until after Christmas. Let's see. God, I'm behind on the comments here. Let's see. Rick Spitter. Kevin Bass Gray. I was watching some playoff football. I was watching the Bills game, but they just absolutely destroyed the Broncos, which I kind of thought they would. So that game was over pretty quickly after halftime. Let's see. I think we're going to see another box set. We did the 64 box. There's much more demand for those later Capitol albums, where a lot of people liked the running order and the track order more so than the earlier albums. They've held up better over time. Plus, it gives them an opportunity to do a recreation of The Butcher. I did not see that. How did it go? I mean, I already did that shootout, and there's not even, you can't even debate that. You just can't debate that. Yeah, I mean, you can, but I won't hear about it. That Ludwig is so damn good. On a side note, so there was Heritage Records auctioned off Bob Ludwig's personal copy of the test pressing of Led Zeppelin 2. And I heard that he was offered $10,000 for it and turned it down. So I bought records on Heritage before, and I thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to make a serious run on this record. I'm gonna pony up some money. I'm taking this home. This is gonna be the ultimate YouTube video. I'm gonna have Ludwig's personal copy, test pressing of Led Zeppelin 2. I'm gonna pony up big, and I said in my mind, I'm gonna do 19 grand. I think it was 18 or 19 grand is gonna be where I'm gonna put a bid in on this. So I think it was a Saturday auction. I think I was at the store. I go in my office. I set up. I'm like, all serious, I'm gonna put a bid on this, and the auction started. The pre-bidding was up to like $2,500, maybe $3,500, and I'm like, this is in the bag. Like 18, 19 grand. That's one of the largest amounts of money ever paid for a record. Like, there's no doubt I'm gonna win this. And I got in my office there, and I'm pushing the button, and then the bid went bing, 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 and like 2 seconds later, I was outbid. It went for like damn near 40 G's. I was like, okay, well, yep, that's, and And it was a fantasy of mine thinking I was going to get it for that price because there were some guys clearly with much deeper pockets and much more determination than I was going to have to take that home. But I thought it would be cool. That would have been an awesome piece. But it's funny because it goes back to the video that I made a while back where I had mentioned that, how do I get this off the screen? It goes back to the video that I mentioned a while back to where records can be investment grade pieces. And that's kind of one of those things that I think will be an investment grade piece. Now, if only I can get this off the screen. I can do it by adding something else on the screen. Like, why was that going to be your guess, though? I mean, that's a ridiculous sum of money for a test pressing still, but it's, God, that's a ridiculous sum of money. There's certain records that have a long history of being recognized collectibles, sealed butcher covers, that type of thing. But to see the kind of money that thing went for, I mean, it took me by surprise. I mean, I do this for a living. I deal in high-end records all the time. Let's see. People mock the slabbing, but it's taken a little bit of a sideline for a while because the company that was, I think, had the best shot at doing something with it kind of sold it to another company. And the problem is people are selling the fact that they're slabbing the records, but there's not a huge authority or company behind these records. And that is the problem at this point. There needs to be the company to back it up. There needs to be somebody behind that company that says, you know what, we're like recognized authorities. This is so-and-so who's making the determination of what these records are worth, or what these records condition-wise are, that these are the actual pressings they should be. And that's the kind of going to have to happen when it comes to slabbing. And I haven't seen that yet. So, I don't know. We'll see. I still don't think slabbing is gone, but it seems like it's kind of pulled back a little bit. I've never... It boggles my mind. It's like people go through all this... Jack makes a good point. They go through all this trouble of sourcing the best analog record, the creme de la creme. This is considered the best, but now let me digitize it, compress it, push it through YouTube, and, which compresses things, and then it gets decompressed on the flip side, and see, listen to it. Like, that doesn't sound even remotely close to what I'm hearing in my living room. What are you talking about? Yeah. Slabbed your UHQR? Be kind of funny. There are companies that slabbed where you can see the record, but you can't play it. And then there's companies that completely encapsulate it. But that's... I know people in the record business are like, oh, this is blasphemy. You can't slab it. You can't listen to it anymore. But that's been the case for everything that's been slabbed. When you slab a comic book, you can't read it anymore. And when you slab a video game, which has become a big deal now, I mean, it's had a pullback, but you can't play it anymore. This is no different. It's the same thing. Oh my God, we got more super chats. Look at this. This is fantastic. Put these super chats up. So I've heard rumors that it's a possibility for an exorbitant amount of money. So I don't know if it'll make financially sense for somebody to do, but I think it is theoretically possible if somebody is willing to pony up the amount of money that is probably going to, it's probably going to require. I don't know if it's necessarily Sony. I think Pink Floyd probably has more say in that. But now that they sold everything off. Weren't they one of these bands that sold off the rights to their catalog? So I don't know how that's going to work. That might change in the future. But I think it's a possibility, especially when there's huge sums of money involved. Huge sums of money will make things happen, but it's got to make business sense for somebody to be able to do it. Let's see, how many people? Got 320 people. Wow, this is crazy. I really enjoyed doing these. You know, I wish I did, I wish I can. It was fun having Angel here. I'm not going to lie. I mean, in the live streaming aspect. The rest of it was, I could leave it. But this part of it, yeah. Let's see. So we talked about this a little bit earlier on. I'm going to have to go back and listen to his interview. I've heard rumblings, like I said earlier, about this, but go back in time, watch the beginning of the live stream. Right after I figured out the audio, we talked about this. Let's see. Yeah, I know, 325 people. It's crazy. How's the video quality? You know, the audio quality seems to be good, but how's the video quality in this new room? I've really built probably over the top. Like, to be honest, I make YouTube videos about records and talk about them. I feel like I might have, looking back when I'm in this room, I think I might have gone a little bit over the top with what I did here. But hopefully it's the best looking live stream you guys have ever seen. But yeah. He did like a random podcast from somebody that I've never heard of. So somebody like without, outside of the normal vinyl community on YouTube. So I don't even know. I saw somebody else talking about it. Yeah, Caro Pop. It was a Caro Pop interview. And I only heard a snippet of it. And the snippet I heard said, One Steps, it's a total scam. And that's all I'm going to say. But apparently he elaborated on it. So I'm going to have to go back now that you guys have pointed out that he elaborated on and hear the explanation. But like I said, I've heard things in the past to the contrary. But ultimately, I'm not in a position to do the testing to be able to tell you guys. Let's see. How is the single life going? Probably pretty fun. No, I've got a... there's like an adjustment that I haven't made yet. So when you go from being married to not being married, you got to kind of revert back. And I haven't made that adjustment yet. Meaning like I haven't done the things that people should do when they're single. I've just been kind of doing other things. So I work all the time, which is part of the problem. But I started playing a lot of poker in my spare time. And it was funny. I was on a live stream and somebody had pointed out to me, I mentioned like, I'm playing more poker. And they're like, oh, that's a fantastic way to pick up ladies. There's a lot of ladies play poker. And I'm like, no, there's not. And he's like, I know there's, he's like, he was making a point like, exactly. I'm like, this is a good point. Yeah. So, I was with her for 17 years. So like, I forgot what the hell to even do. Like online dating wasn't even a thing when we got together. For the most part, it was like new. So I have to, I guess I got to do something, figure something out. I don't know. I have to make the time. The bar thing was never my shtick. I don't do the bars. I'm not going to go to clubs. I remember I went to clubs, in my early 20s, and I remember there'd be like random older guys like myself there, and I would look at them and be like, that guy's really out of place. So, I would never do that because I wasn't enjoying that back in the day anyways. So that would be quite lame to do now, to be one of the guys that I used to laugh at at the clubs. But I'll figure something out. Yeah. My kid was giving me a hard time about it yesterday. What did he say? He was like, I don't know why, like, it didn't even come up. And he just like randomly, I got a 17-year-old now. He's 17 years old. He's like, Dad, you need to, you need to figure something out. And I'm like, nah, I'm fine. He's like, you're living in you're delusional. He goes, you think like some hot girl's going to come into the in-groove, tell you how much she loves jazz, and ask you out. Like, that's not going to, I'm like, so I was getting this lecture from my kid last night. It was kind of comical, to be honest with you. I'm like, shut up, you don't know what you're talking about. But then I started thinking about it. I'm like, God damn it. But yeah. There are ladies that play poker, but there's a very small percentage of them compared to the amount of guys that you find at these, at poker. And a lot of them seem to be married, so. Come on, Loki. The one time I tried something new with the second camera angle, I'm still getting crap for it. I thought it was possibly going to be good. It was a little much. I haven't done it anymore. Yeah. Oh, no, I don't see myself getting married again. That's not happening. I've done it twice. I think the first time was practice. The second time was supposed to be, and then if you don't, I don't know, if you're not doing it right by the second time, you're probably not that good at it. I could be wrong, but that's kind of where I'm thinking at this point. This is sage advice here, John. Come on. Let's see. This is true. There are more ladies playing poker than in the audiophile realm. It's kind of interesting. So I had a lady come in. God, where was she from? I was in the back, and I was doing something, and my employees all make fun of me because, like, sometimes customers will come out and say, "Hey, is Mike here? Can I meet him?" And Vivian calls me up, and she calls me from the back. She goes, or actually she texts me on my phone, and she goes, "Can you come out and meet somebody? They want to, take a photo with you." I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And then it happens, so that's not a big thing. But then she texts, she goes, "You're not going to believe this. It's a woman." She goes, "Seriously." So there's some truth to the fact that there's not a lot of ladies that are audiophiles, or for that matter, watching YouTube. There are, there's some, because I get actually YouTube provides statistical breakdowns, and it's like 1 or 2% of my audience, so they're out there. Super chat. Birth of the Blue. Any thoughts? No, because I haven't received it yet. It has been very frustrating, but just the truth of the matter is, Analog Productions waits to sit. They wait until that first initial rush of the product goes out through their own retail store, and then after that, they send it out elsewhere. And what happened with the Birth of the Blue is they didn't actually make enough of them, I don't think, to even satisfy the demand on their own site. So they just haven't shipped retail stores yet. Now, I'm hearing that I'm going to get it in a couple of weeks, and I'm fairly confident that's going to be the case because nowadays the turnaround time on the pressing plant is so quick. And I don't think they made the entire order. I don't think they made what they had planned to make all in the beginning, all at once. I think they kind of made it in stages, and then when they saw that the pre-orders were outselling what they had scheduled, they probably fired up the presses and got another run of them going. But unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to listen to it, which is kind of a bummer because I want to. So I'm looking forward to it. I did the top 10 analog records of 2024, and I was a little bummed because I felt like that would have been something that would have been a possibility to put on that list because I've got high hopes for it. I think it's going to be spectacular, but I don't know because I don't have the damn thing yet. So that's where we're at with that. Couple of weeks. Thanks, Blake. Good luck for the Eagles. I've got it recorded, so I'll watch it later. The Cardinals are out. Football is over for me. Football is dead to me. It takes, after the season kind of comes to an end, and with the Arizona Cardinals sucking so much, you know, there's a depression for a couple of weeks as you see all these other teams go on to the playoffs, and your team is talking about how to make themselves better. But yeah. Not really. We talk from time to time. Not too much. Like, there were some loose ends type of things we had to take care of, but not really. I think this is going to stay in print for some time. Like, I don't foresee this as being something that comes and goes right away. So Lana is not single, unfortunately. She is she married the alligator wrangler, right? The Louisiana tour guide, the alligator tour guide. To be honest, I don't really have a system that will properly justify. Like, I'm just going to wait for the records. I'll have it in a couple weeks. I've got so much damn crap to listen to, it's not a big deal. Let's see. MoFi, where'd that go? MoFi announced Fleetwood Mac's Tango in the Night, and just recently Mirage. Are those DSD or analog? DSD. I'm sure they're all DSD. I'm pretty sure Tango in the Night has already been said to be DSD. So, now I did get an update. I want to say Tango in the Night is going to be February. So, I'm actually looking forward to how that sounds. Could be good. Yeah, it's a very low number. The ladies that are watching the channel it's a very small amount. Like I said, it was enough of an event when someone came in who was not a guy that everybody was like in shock. Yeah. God, I think I'm real behind on that. Oh my God, look at this, another super chat. This is fantastic. Let's pin this and read it. Yes, they have already said that they're going to do it in 2 stages. They're going to do 3 records, and then very shortly after that, they're going to do another 3 records. And they kind of implied that it would be somewhat soon. So I don't think it's going to be months from now. I think it could be weeks from now. But I'm not 100% sure. I don't know where or how they're going to distribute them. I think it's probably going to be direct. But then I also heard rumblings that this is something that could get a wider release. They want to make use of the effort that went into this and sell as many as possible, which I hope, because I would love to just fill up the back room with top-notch, all audiophile grade, analog, 33 RPM copies of The Doors. So here's fingers crossed, but I'm not 100% sure of who's going to distribute them. If it might, but at the very least, we know there's going to be 3 and 3, and we know they're going to have them. Because I've gotten that from a lot of people. A lot of people are like, maybe I'll do the... Seems like most people who are just more casual Doors fans want LA Woman in the self-titled album. So we know that's coming. It's funny because I think about, when I think about High Fidelity, I think always about, I know it's essentially a movie about his romances and his dating life. But I've always thought of it as just like a movie about record life. But now that you mention it, now I'm thinking about that. That's not a good comparison. I met John Cusack, and he was not a nice person. I was not thrilled to meet him. Didn't go well. I've told the story many times. Yeah, first 3 end of the month, that could be good. All right, let's see. I have compared the two, and while the Abraxas is quite good as a 33, I'm going to do a little bit more in depth. But with the very little bit I've listened to it, I'm fairly confident in saying the One Step is quite a bit better. Let's see. Oddly enough, I might end up going to a playoff game tomorrow. I don't know. My kid is a big Vikings fan. He wants to go to this Vikings game. He's a Vikings fan because his mom's a Vikings fan, and his mom's a Viking fan because she married a Vikings fan. It's kind of this kind of thing. But for that reason, I don't like the Vikings. But also, I don't like the Rams. So I don't know. Maybe I go to this playoff game and root for the Vikings to beat the Rams. We'll see. Let's see. You know, I'm not really thrilled about it. I'm just having deja vu of CDs all over again. It's manufacturers kind of did whatever they could to crush record stores back in the day by forcing CDs upon us and prematurely killing records by doing things that prevented record stores from carrying records anymore. Like, for instance, they stopped making them, but also they started changing policies back in the 80s to where you couldn't return vinyl. It was one way only, where I had, for decades previously, you could buy records, and if they didn't sell, kind of like magazines, you could send them back. That's where cutouts came from. So they did a lot of things to kill vinyl off, and I kind of feel like, you know, they're obviously trying to accumulate all the money for themselves. And it bums me out. I know I'm a record store owner and it sounds like sour grapes, but it just bums me out that they're doing what they can to just cut out the actual record stores. It's just kind of a bummer. But while at the same time, they do some stuff. Like they did the Blue Note series, specifically the indie record, Blue Note authorized retailer program, where they gave us 10 records that could only be, you know, bought at record stores. So, I mean, that was kind of cool, but the whole concept of, hey, if you buy it direct from us, we're going to give it to you 2 weeks early. It's like, come on. It's very frustrating, and I'm not thrilled with it. But it's just everybody. I guess when I started 10 years ago, you know, oddly enough, our 10-year anniversary of opening up the record store is coming up in April. But see maybe I can do something fun for that. But I started at a time where nobody cared about records. Like, the damn manufacturers barely cared about records. The labels, I mean, it was just like, we'll make a few records to keep these weird people happy. But then things kept like snowballing, and when I started, you couldn't really buy records on Amazon. Very few records were sold via the mail. And it's just that everybody's doing whatever they can, these labels and manufacturers, to just sell direct. It's kind of like a bummer, because it could end up, I mean, it's not going to help record stores. Let's put it that way. And even this record store day, I was a little disappointed. And I sent an email off to record store day, and I never heard back from them. But I was disappointed in the Doors live in Detroit, because essentially what they did, they didn't tell anybody that they were doing this, or at least I don't think they did. You know, like normal, they did this record store release live in Detroit, and then the next day, it was on the Doors website. It's like, you know, I had a lot of people that were pissed off about that. There was people that lined up because that's what they wanted. So they lined up, they waited for 3 or 4 hours to get their Doors. Maybe they bought a few other things when they were here, and then the next day they found out they could have just went online and bought it. It was no big deal. They didn't have to leave their house. So I just don't like to see the direction where this is going, but, you know, I don't make those decisions. No, Mike, I have not heard that yet, actually. I'm kind of really behind on 4 or 5 Acoustic Sound Series titles and 4 or 5 Blue Notes, Tone Poets. But, that makes sense. That was... Some of those Verve pressings back in the day originally, it's a challenge to get good, quiet copies, let alone the mastering choices back in the day. They didn't have the advantage of Rudy Van Gelder cracking out lacquers back in the day. So I'll give it a listen to. I listened to Root Down, which I was thrilled with. That was great. But being a concert, it was great compared to what the options out there are, but I can see the Cat being quite good. I'm going to listen to it. Let's see. Watching from Chicago. Yeah, Morrison Hotel for me. Morrison Hotel, the actual Morrison Hotel burnt down a couple weeks back. I don't know if anybody heard that. Yeah, Cusack. Don't get me started. I guess I'm really far behind. I'm just going to have to skip some of these questions because... All right. Yeah, the UHQR of that is the best sounding version of Aja I've ever listened to. And I did a shootout of it, and then I kind of did a supplemental video talking about it. It's unbelievably good. Bernie knocked it out of the park with that one. Rio Verde, yeah, I'll see ya. Not super close, but close. I think it's kind of funny. So the jackets, I noticed the way they kind of packaged them in the box. A lot of the jackets, the gloss came scratched on. And I thought originally, I'm like, oh, you know what? I'll just get new jackets when the singles come out and I can have a minty box set. But not only is the box numbered, all the individual records are number matched as well. So just got to deal with it. Oh, I'm not saying that I'm not saying that the product is bad. I just don't like the concept of like, hey, buy it from us directly and you can get it 2 weeks earlier. The product's going to be good. The Blue Note Tone Poets are fantastic. The box set, it's kind of funny. As quick as that box set sold out and as much demand as there is, the secondary prices haven't been crazy on that box because everybody knows that the singles are coming out. Now, if for some reason the singles never came out and the box set was your only way, that'd be like a $1,500, $2,000 box set already. But people are just waiting. No, that's kind of a thing. Like I thought about it because there's a couple of records you're only going to be able to get directly from them if you get them as a Tone Poets, part of that program. But it's like my experience too is those guys ship records horribly. So it's like, what the hell? Like, I haven't even decided what I'm going to do. Maybe it might be easier for me to just try to seek out those exclusives on the secondary market. I think that's probably what I'm going to do. Let's see. They will be in demand, but I got to say with the infinite box sets, every single time that people get the wild idea that these things are out of print, I've seen those box sets jump to like $1,000, $1,500. There are some slight differences with the box set. Nobody really talks about that, but most people don't realize, for instance, with LA Woman, the original version of LA Woman had the embossed cover. It had said The Doors on it, embossed, and that was done away with. Most people don't talk about that, but there is some slight differences with the box set versus what came out after it, albeit not sonically, but yeah. Let's see. Did we get the Elton John diamonds with diamonds on the wax? What is, like, would they do sprinkled diamonds in the record? Like, I'm not familiar with what that is. I did, and as much as I like Wilson, the last couple of years at Expona kind of resulted in my favorite booths at Expona the last 2 times I've been have been the Focal room. And that's kind of what led me to picking up Focal here. And my thinking was like, I was the most impressed with those Focal rooms. I mean, for what I like to listen to and how I like to listen to it. And I first heard a pair of Utopia Maestros and was absolutely blown away. And then the following year when I went back, they had the Grand Utopias there. So that, like, for me, that's where I'm going to end up going. There's going to be a point in time where I do like a full system overhaul, and I end up with a pair of Grand Utopias. That's the vision anyways. I don't really have the blueprint to how that's going to happen laid out, but that's kind of where I see myself going. And that's hence the reason some time back, I'm like, all right, let's pick up Focal. Kind of a reason, to be honest, there's a reason I pick a lot of the brands I do. I pick a lot of the brands I do because I like the gear and it's like stuff that I would like to own. It's like that with cartridges. It's like that, with turntables. It's like that with a lot of the gear. So, yeah. Has that even come out yet, the Tone Poet exclusive? I mean, I've got an original and I've got the Analog Productions. I'm almost positive Analog Productions did it as a 45. Yeah. But that's kind of, I think the Focal's mic is where I'm going to end up going. I've got a pair of those Utopia Maestros in the sound room, and they are just, my sound room is not huge, and those speakers are fairly large, but that is just that is a fantastic, now it's not cheap, they're $80K, but they're pretty damn good. Yeah. Boy, old Kevin got himself some notoriety with that comment, because people keep mentioning it. I talked about it at the beginning of the video. Yes. So that tech, and I've talked about this in the past, that is going to revolutionize music in the future. And it's going to revolutionize stuff, especially like bootlegs, the Beatles at the Hamburg Club. Some of these bootleg, like these Led Zeppelin boots, to where, it sounds like the recording was done in the third stall in the John. The sound quality is absolutely horrible. They're going to be able to go recreate these concerts from scratch and make them sound like studio recordings. I mean, that's 100% where this is going. And yeah. So Mike, I put the Utopias in, I tried them with a bunch of different things. They were fantastic with the Yamaha separates. They were great with actually the Technics SU-1000, but I also picked it with a full name stack. So it's now with the name 333s. And, they gel really well with the name, which they should. It's a sister company, and I think they're more or less designed together. But that's kind of how I have it set up now, and it's pretty nice. And I mean, truth be told, that's how I heard the Grand Utopias at Expona. They had their statement amplifiers, which are just beasts of an amp, 300 grand, 100,000 for the left amp, 100,000 for the right amp, 100,000 for the tweeter or the preamp. They sit on the floor. Plug those subwoofers in because they're electromagnetic subwoofers. It's kind of like having a jackhammer installed on your chest. And it was fun. And, there's a lot of, when you go to Expona, there is $1 million systems everywhere. And there was a one horn system that was like in the multi-millions. It was a ridiculous sum of money. And for me, now granted, this was still $600K, but I'd have took that $600,000 system over all of the $1 million, $2 million, $3 systems that I heard. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's an extreme amount of money. But when you think about it, I mean, I thought the $600,000 system sounded better than the $4 million system. So, I mean, that's a value system. It's a value proposition. What's up, Rob? How are you doing? I see you're back home. Hopefully they get that under control and you're not having to bail anytime soon. I had great hopes that the SRX would continue and they would go back and redo all those great titles at 45 as SRX 33s. Unfortunately, they never did. The Tone Poets got launched, and then they just pretty much said, we're not going to do any of the Music Matters titles as Tone Poets, which is a bummer because they did pretty much the best 100-ish Blue Note titles as Music Matters. So, bummer. You know, it's weird because I go on TV and they're talking about, you know, these fires are still going. And I've talked to friends in California and they're telling me that they don't see any smoke. So, yeah. Not at all. Yeah, I mean, I talk about a lot of like lower price entry level stuff because I mean, we sell hi-fi in the store and a lot of it. And I want to say, you know, our turntable started like $149 for like just an Audio Technica LP60. That's the lowest price table that I feel comfortable selling. That's not going to destroy all your records and sound like complete utter crap. Although it's no, you know, it's no Air Force Zero, $500,000 turntable, but it's the lowest price I'm willing to sell. And I mean, when it comes to speakers, I have them starting at, for like a passive set, they start at around $350, and then I've got good integrated receivers starting around $350, and then they go up very incrementally all the way up into the obnoxious. But most of what we sell is at the lower price point. So, I mean, I do talk about it quite a bit. It's just I don't necessarily do it on camera. I agree with you. I have the Unity Atom in my bedroom. I have them hooked up to a pair of Sony ES speakers. I had a guy bring in a pair of Sony ES speakers, and I think these were like little bookshelf speakers that are like, they were like $5,000, $6,000. They're ridiculously priced, but they're worth almost nothing. They were like worth sub $1,000 used because they say Sony on them, and everybody was like, oh, Sony, no. But these Sony ES speakers, he's like, look, I'm just trying to get rid of them. And I'm like, I'm going to pay a bunch of money for these. Cheap. He goes, you got to hear them. And I hooked them up, and I was like, holy crap. Tiny little bookshelf speakers. And they just absolutely sound fantastic. And I actually hooked them up to a Unity Atom, and I have it on a dresser in my bedroom. I did do a shootout, but it's kind of like multi-part. So you're going to have to go back and you're going to have to watch 3 videos. You can watch my original shootout video. You can watch my video where I talk specifically about the UHQR, and then I did a subsequent video on the Rhino Hi-Fi. So 3 videos. See, this is a genius idea, and I'm hoping they will move the optimal pressings over for the Rhino, for the Rhino Hi-Fi stuff. I hope they move that over to Fidelity. Fidelity is making, like I said, phenomenal stuff lately. The last couple of 4 or 5 releases, just keep in mind, I offer that ultrasonic cleaning service at the store. So I'm opening up records one after another for customers. I'm making sure they're not damaged. I'm making sure they are flat, and then I'm ultrasonically cleaning them, packaging them up, and I'm sending them off to people. So I'm opening a lot of records from a lot of manufacturers, and the stuff Fidelity's been making has just been fantastic. And the presses, the stuff that I've been putting on the table is just whisper quiet. I mean, they're making some great stuff. But they got the top guy from RTI went over to, you know, Fidelity. So, and it was essentially a deal where he not only went over from RTI to Fidelity, but he did that. I think there's like an ownership share. So I think he's a part owner, and he was able to design this pressing plant to his specification. God, it is so dry here in Arizona right now. You got no idea. Well, it's dry because I'm freezing because it's like in the 50s. So I've got the heater turned up to like 74, and it's sucking, you know, it's gas heater. It's sucking all the moisture out of the air, which we don't really have anyways, but it's brutal. Yeah, to be honest though, with the Unity, I don't have a turntable hooked up there. I just stream from my phone, you know, Apple Music. I barely listen to it. It was really more along the lines for Angel, but yeah. I am still using a Macintosh Phonostage. That is the oldest piece of equipment now in my system because I've not found a Phonostage to do what I want to do that sounds as good as that. I'm pretty much throwing in the towel to where there's Phonostages that I like that sound better, but they don't have the functionality of that. So I've kind of come to the decision that I'm going to have multiple Phonostages. I just haven't gotten there yet. I did the turntable first, and yeah. This is kind of, I would think Fidelity would be more expensive than Optimal. The reason they went to Optimal and not RTI was a cost proposition. They did it to save money. But the fact that they're doing the Rhino Reserve, which is a slightly lower price point, that leads me to think that maybe it's not so much difference price-wise, and maybe they can make the switch from Optimal to Fidelity. So, yeah, here's hoping. Yeah, they took Gary. They changed the name. They took Gary from QRP. They changed the name to... It's got a new name. You know, there was an ongoing litigation. I don't follow the gossip. I really couldn't care less. So, yeah. But I got to say, with the Rhino Reserves, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. Don't sleep on those two titles. You might not be familiar with that Eddie Hazel title, or you might not be familiar with that Allison Toussaint, that Toussaint record, but my favorite of the two is the Eddie Hazel. Go stream that Eddie Hazel record, especially his covers. He does a Beatles cover on there. Absolutely killer, funky guitarist, and that record is awesome, and I'm really looking forward to it. That record's I'm gonna sell a ton of them. Once the word gets out on how good that is musically, and hopefully it sounds fantastic, I'm sure it will. I ordered a lot. I'm in deep. It's funny. What's my thoughts on Bose acquiring Macintosh? Because so much that's happened since I've done one of these live streams. It's actually quite crazy. But it's funny you mentioned that. Because, what was it like? The week it went down, people kept walking in the store because I've got a Macintosh system in the store. Oddly enough, because I don't sell Macintosh. I should have product in there I can sell. But the thing is, I've got these big line array speakers, and they're able to fill a big 3,000 square foot room nicely with good sound because 1,200 watt monoblocks, big giant line array speakers. That's kind of what they're for. But that whole entire week, people kept coming in like, oh my God, I love your top tier Bose speakers you have here. Those are fantastic Bose amps you got. They look so nice with the blue meters. So that was kind of the running joke in the store. You know, I'm really bummed out about it. The trip I made where I saw you in California over the summer, that was one of the things. I had never went to the Morrison Hotel. Now, granted, it was boarded up and, you know, the glass was boarded up, but I always wanted to take a photograph in front of the Morrison Hotel. Hmm. Hmm. I think I got a cough button on this board here. Hello. Nope, that ain't it. What about this? Look at that. We're big time over here. Got a cough button. But I always wanted to take a photograph of it with me standing in front of it, but I didn't because I'm like, yeah, I'll do it next time. I was busy. And it just proves, like, you know, sometimes there is no next time. You might as well do it. It's kind of like records. You ever go into a record store? This happens all the time, by the way. You're like, you know what? I don't know. I'm going to come back and get it. And then you go back and it's not there. It's like, you know, sometimes there is no next time and you just got to do it when you can. And I wish I did. Those DSD Rolling Stones were fantastic. Unbelievably good. The biggest issue I have with Optimal is no-fill. They are the worst, in my opinion, when it comes to no-fill. The amount of records I get with no-fill coming out of Optimal is insane, especially when it comes to stuff like the Blue Note Classic titles. It's gotten a lot better, but still should never happen. Let's see. You know, a lot of pressing plants in general have gotten significantly better than they once were. I mean, with the downturn, you know, it's not even a huge downturn or a downturn at all, but with the lack of craziness, you know, without the trajectory of like to the moon and more of like a stable trajectory, I think these pressing plants have had time to catch up and refine their operation to make better quality stuff. And I'm seeing it more and more. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not saying that the noise is an issue. It's the QC when it comes to, with Optimal, the QC is related to no-fill. I'm having no-fill issues. The thing is too, I mean, I'm sure you're ultrasonically cleaning. Are you saying you're having issues with sound quality after ultrasonically cleaning? I mean, I'm not having an issue with noisy vinyl, but I'm not playing it out of the package. Everything I ever listen to gets ultrasonic first because I have the machines. I've got 5 of them. I dunk them, they clean them, then I listen to them. But, I mean, there's issues with everybody. There's just, hands down, you're going to have issues with every manufacturer. It's just the types of issues you have some can be corrected, some can't. You know, like with Analog Productions, they're notorious for having a hole that's too tight. So, but that's an easy fix. You can get the, you know, the reamers. I sell them online. I have multiples laid out throughout the store, and that could be fixed. But when I've got a record that's riddled with no-fill, that's like a worthless record. But like I said, it has gotten better. It was really brutal in the early days of the Blue Note Classics. I mean, but it's gotten significantly better. And to be honest, I get virtually no-fill with the Rhino Hi-Fis. But it's always a case by, it's always like a record by record basis. You know, certain cuts, lacquer cuts, kind of result, I think, in more no-fill than others. No, I mean, yeah, I don't think the Clarity is the quietest stuff out there. I mean, the quietest stuff out there that I heard for a while was that SRX, that VR900 compound. That was hands down the quietest. But like I said, when I started listening to these newer Fidelity pressings that were done, especially because I wanted to go back and listen to a super vinyl record versus the non-super vinyl because of that change that they made with the Mariah Carey. And I gotta say, it was like VR900 level quiet. It was really up there. No, I think that was like a moment in time. I think a guy said a thing and then another guy said a thing and then everybody else pounced. I don't see that. That was the big artist intent debacle. You know, I don't see that being, it was kind of ridiculous when it happened, but I don't see that being an issue because, like, again, with the artist intent, if you have an issue with it, you can always go back and buy the damn original and listen to the artist's intent. But I think, as we kind of discovered with the first television record, we're not even sure if that was the artist's intent. We really don't know because there's kind of some stuff written in books and whatnot that they might not have been happy with the way that turned out. So yeah. Like I said, the non-fill has been significantly better as of late, but I have noticed it some more with the Blue Note, Blue Vinyl, Blue Note exclusive retailer variants. Cracking some of those open, it's like, you know, started having no-fill issues again. So, looking forward to the CCR remasters. What are you looking forward to? Oddly enough, I'm looking forward to that Michael Jackson MoFi One Step, Off the Wall. Fantastic record. And I thought they did a killer job at Thriller. Hot take, I know. I've talked about it before, but I thought they did a killer job at Thriller. I'm really looking forward to how Off the Wall sounds. I thought it's always been a better recorded record, you know, recording wise, that was always a better record. So I'm looking forward to kind of what they do with that. What else? The MoFi Lotus I'm looking forward to. That's a record that I've always enjoyed that's coming out. I'm looking forward to that Rhino Reserve Eddie Hazel. I'm looking forward to the Analog Productions Miles Davis, which I haven't gotten yet. Looking forward to that, though. And I'm looking forward, to be honest, to a lot of the Rhino hi-fi titles that haven't, you know, that we don't know about yet because they haven't been announced. But every time they announce one, it's like, damn, that's a great record. That's a great choice. 33, Kevin Gray. That, you know, I'm looking forward to a lot of the OJCs that they've announced. Those are going to be good. Some of those Miles OJCs that were just announced. I'm looking forward to Lana Del Rey's country album that's coming out in a couple months. If you know, when it comes to new music. But that's just the stuff that I know about. The thing is, though, it wasn't like the original, but I have the original, like this many of them. But yeah, it was different, and I liked it for that reason. I heard more of what was going on. I could hear the layering that Quincy Jones, just the amount of crap that was in the mix that you just couldn't hear on the original because it was a more compressed version that was meant to get down to. A lot of that was left out. ORG mentioned too that, yeah, somebody mentioned this. ORG has mentioned that they're supposed to be doing an analog cut of Maggot Brain, but something happened because that was supposed to be like a year ago. But I'm looking forward to those Funkadelic ORG analog cuts. I don't know what the hell happened to them though, but looking forward to that. It was kind of a secret MoFi, but then it really wasn't because it had the MoFi sticker on it, but they did a Japanese only release of Lotus where it says it was done by MoFi. So MoFi cut the lacquers, but it was a Japanese only title. Very similar to a lot of CDs that came out. I think MoFi did a lot of the mastering on some of those Japanese SACDs that came out as Japanese only reissues. Let's see. Top 3. Man, I've enjoyed quite a lot of them. I did the top 10 analog videos of 2024, and I kind of put 2 of my favorites in there. But I liked the Velvet Underground. I've liked Kick. I've liked The Alice Cooper, I'm not a huge Alice Cooper fan, oddly enough, being an Arizona native. I like some of the hits, but not some of the deeper cuts. But that record was fantastic. What else? The Otis Redding was great. The Ray Charles was good. There's a lot of them. I mean, they did a lot of good titles. Pain in the ass having to listen to them at 45, but it's a lot easier now with the Technics table versus the older table where I had to take the record off, put the clamp on, take the clamp off. Yeah. It's really weird with... I haven't actually gotten a lot of the new Rhino Hi-Fi titles for myself personally, and the reason being is I have nothing so far but headache when it comes to ordering stuff directly from Rhino with damages, seam splits, dents, no way to really follow up with customer service. They're pretty awful. And with the fact that they're now releasing a lot of these titles to independent record stores, I've waited on a lot of them. There's a lot of titles I would like to pick up. The Stooges, the Television, a lot of stuff that I haven't been picking up lately because I'm just waiting to see if it comes out to retail stores. This way I can get a nice, clean, crispy copy. And I'm not to the point now where I'm worried about anything running out, because it seems like with the Black Sabbath and with other titles, it seems like they really don't, they're not making these as limited edition collectibles. They're just going to keep putting them out in one variation or another. So yeah. Let's see. Mel Brown was fantastic, but I mean, you need to look into Wes Montgomery, you need to look into George Benson, you need to look into Grant Green, Kenny Burrell. I mean, they're just common names, but their catalog is so humongous. But don't sleep on George Benson's earlier jazzy stuff before he was doing more R&B. I love Gabo Zabor, Zabor. How to pronounce his name, but Dreams is a fantastic record. He did, it's not on vinyl, but he did a live at the Bacall or Bucknell Hall. I know, I'm normally so good with pronunciation, but that record, you can stream it, is fantastic. It was a distribution issue, but I actually think I've got that solved to where I'll be getting those in here soon. God, it is so dry here in Arizona. Oh my God. I think it's, I don't know. I feel like from what I've heard, they use different packaging for different parts of the world. But also, they ship most things in the United States, UPS. And UPS, shipping small packages with UPS is a very bad idea, in my opinion. And I've said this before. You got to think of the way UPS processes packages. They mainly specialize in packages. They don't have a lot of small parcels running UPS ground. And the way these packages move on a conveyor belt, they're just getting smashed up by other bigger boxes. Where if you send something via, for instance, the post office is more used to shipping things at a much smaller size. So they're not constantly being smashed by 100-pound boxes. That's just my best, most educated guess. So different parts of the world are going to have different shipping services, and the way they process and handle those packages are going to be different. Oh yeah, man, that Joe Pass is going to be great. And oddly enough, it's a Pablo title, which is what, Analog Productions has been doing lately. But the OJC stuff is fantastic. We're in the peak time for just high quality analog jazz records. It's unbelievable. The amount of great stuff between OJC's, Chad's, doing the contemporary stuff. You've got Tone Poets, Blue Note Classics. You've got the Jazz Dispensary stuff, which is like its own series. There's so many freaking amazing titles that are coming out now. It's great. I'm hoping we get some talking heads. I'm hoping like some of that 80s stuff starts coming out as a Rhino hi-fi. I would love to hear like a Rhino hi-fi burning down the house. Holy cow. Unbelievable. That would be just fantastic. Yeah, you're not going to be disappointed with that. I still have the box around here somewhere. Yeah, I'm looking at it. I've put a shelf in of nothing but box sets because they were taking up too much damn space on my normal shelves, you know, where I put mostly just LPs. I've just kind of started offloading them to their own shelf. But that box is pretty fantastic. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. A record ships with your Chewy order. Chewy does a lot of pet food, so you got 80 pounds of dog food smacking into these boxes. It's an issue. Raymond, 1 pound to 70 pounds goes on a belt system. Maybe he's working in the shipping industry. But yeah, but just with the post office, they're just not shipping as many large packages. No, I think most of those Blue Notes, especially when they were recorded stereo, you're fine with the stereo. See, a lot of collectors push the monos, but keep in mind there was a time where everything was recorded mono. There was a couple of months, maybe 2 or 3 months, where he was recording, Rudy Van Gelder was recording things on a dedicated stereo machine and then a dedicated mono machine. But then there was years and years and years where he was only recording things stereo, releasing things mono, but they were fold downs. So go with the stereo. Oh, give me a second. I'm gonna have to go grab another water. I'm out of just normal tap water, so I can't chug something down. Yeah, there you go. Raymond's worked for UPS for 39 years. So when you get damaged packages, you can email him. No, but he knows because it's just the truth. UPS is hauling some serious, you know, like when you get a UPS truck, for instance, rolls up to the store, there are all these giant packages in the back of the truck, where the post office comes and there's a couple, 3 or 4 packages and then stacks of letters. And then when I offload all those packages on the post office, every single time the look on their face is like, oh my God, I hate the record store. Why do I have to keep coming here? And they have that look in their face because that's not something they do very often. As opposed to my UPS driver, I'm like, oh, I got these 30 packages over here. They're like, okay, you know, because that's all they do. Give me 2 seconds. Talk amongst yourself. So my kid just likes to drink and eat everything in the house, but he doesn't actually tell me when something runs out. So we ran out of water, but I'm starting to learn that there's certain things he doesn't like and he won't eat. Like potato chips, for instance. If I get really spicy potato chips, he won't touch them. So if I want chips, I'll have them as long as I buy really hot ones. Another thing he won't touch is sparkling water. So if I want to have water in the house at all times, I have to, I have to buy sparkling water. What's up, Leland? How are you? Why do you have a little sun next to your name? All right, so I am going to take a few more questions. I've been online for about an hour and a half, but I'm going to cut it off right at an hour and a half. Yeah, I got that Metallica whiskey as a gift. Blackened. Yeah. Oh, I got my Highland Park 25 over there. Probably just evaporating away. I need to get working on that, but yeah. Let's see. What is harder to get back in the store? Yeah, that is a Clear Audio Ovation turntable with the universal tone arm. I'm going to be putting it in the store pretty soon for sale because it's really just a prop. I bought it in a collection years ago, and it's quite an expensive prop. And I've got my old AMGs sitting in the house too, so I need to start getting some of these turntables out the door and sell them, just sitting around. Oh, that would be a fantastic release, but no, I do not. Tony Williams stuff, the Tony Williams Lifetime stuff is fantastic. I do sell a lot of heavy metal records. I know virtually nothing about heavy metal, and I have nobody that works for me that knows about heavy metal, and I do well with it. I order this stuff and I'm like, I don't know what the hell this is, and I order it, because the vendors are telling me like this is the hot new metal release, and it sells. But yeah. That's a good question. I am actually slimming things down. I'm putting together a Whatnot auction of a bunch of first pressings, and a lot of the stuff from my collection is going to go in that. But I have decided I like to move, so just a little personal stuff. I like to get out of this house I'm in now, and I like to move into a different place. And I don't foresee myself moving into a place that allows me to, I'm not going to necessarily go smaller or bigger, but I'm not going to go smaller that much, and I'm not really going to go bigger, but at this point, if I needed to bring more records in the house, I would need more house, because I've just got records everywhere. They're like this room that I'm shooting this video, this live stream in, this is theoretically my dining room, or it was at one point in time, but you can see just from the parts of this room, you can see there's just records everywhere, and there's records over here, and there's records over here, and there's records over here, and there's just records everywhere. And this is theoretically supposed to be a dining room. But yeah, so I'm taking a lot of stuff. I'm thinning the herd quite a bit and bringing that stuff into the shop. Some of it's going to go on Whatnot. Some of it's going to get auctioned. But I can't really add quantity anymore. I'm to the point now where if I want to bring something in, I got to take something out. Hey, I'm glad you were able to do it live. It's kind of, it's fun live. If I was buying the speakers at around $3,000, my favorite speakers are probably the MoFi SourcePoint 8s or 10s now that they've lowered the price on them. Those speakers are a ton of fun to listen to at that price point. They really are good. They're not, it's not like they're $100,000 speaker good, but at that price point, they're really well built. They sound fantastic. Andrew's an amazing speaker designer, and it's just like a very fun musical speaker. They're not overly like hyper detailed like you're gonna get with like a multi-$100,000 Focal or Wilson. Rob really is a funny guy. He just is. He's just got comedic timing, I guess you would call it. Too many records. No, I have too many records, not too many records. That's a different thing. But that Jake, I talked to Jacob this morning, man. That guy it's so bizarre. He made a phenomenal record. That record is so damn good. And he's technically the label, but he called me this morning. He's out and he's doing like like he's touring record stores, doing like in stores in Florida. The poor guy, I don't know how. He's doing stuff that's like reserved for like top tier, big label sign musicians, like Taylor Swift level things to promote a record. But God bless him. But yeah, he's out there pounding the pavement in Florida right now, promoting that record. But it really is a fantastic record. The 888s are actually in the store. I broke them in. I had them plugged in for about a week. So they're broke in and they're in there. Yeah. I don't know if UPS today, keep in mind though, back when Columbia House was shipping records in the 80s, you know, a lot less packages were probably being put through the mail back in the day. Uh, you know, with the advent of the internet and everybody shipping everything, there's an immense amount of packages, you know, going through. Jason, you're a funny guy with your... I'm 5'4". I felt like you were taller than that. I don't remember, though. Let's see. You know, Jacob sent me that interview with him on the Jazz Bums, but I didn't actually get a chance to watch it yet. You know, it was pretty crazy here for the holidays, which is a good thing, you know. Blessed that it was busy. This year, ironically, was significantly better. So 2023, we had a pretty crummy holiday season, but right around the beginning of, and like I was on track to just be slightly, oh, I get it. It's like a spoof. See, I don't get that many spoofs on the channel here, but I guess it is I see it on other channels, but I guess it is theoretically possible, but I don't click on them all. Actually, on this new platform, I wouldn't even know how to check them because I can't click through to their YouTube channel. But I was on track actually until about November of 2024 to end the year down like 1%. But we did so good in November and December, which was fantastic. I appreciate all of you guys because you contribute to that. But we actually had such a good holiday season. The election was over, all that crap was behind us, and it's just the economy bounced, and we ended up, you know, having an up year, which was fantastic because it didn't look like that was going to happen. And based on 2023, it was not fantastic. So, yeah, it was pretty good. I'm happy that it panned out. So, as far as new goals for 2025, you know, I plan on doing more live streaming. I plan on doing more whatnots. Hopefully I can make more videos. And I'm hoping to be able to take some time off, actually. Alex came back. She's supposed to start covering my technically day off, because normally I have Sunday off, but the store is closed, and I've tried to take another day off. So hopefully that falls into place, and I'll have a little bit of time. Yeah, so let's see, 355 people watching. I'm getting ready to leave. I'm going to try to do this much more, especially if I can. I'd like to try to keep it to about an hour to where it's not a whole day event, and then I could get it done more often. Oh God, that's funny. So you could tell this guy's been watching this channel for a long time, because in the beginning, when I first started doing new arrival videos, there was a Donald Trump and Barack Obama picture disc that came out. It was like maybe the beginning of 2020. And they both had the same thing on it, I think. They had like Hail to the Chief, and maybe one had a couple of Obama speeches on it. The other one had a couple of Trump speeches on it. But then the rest of it was like the Star Spangled Banner. It was that kind of record, you know what I mean? But I remember when they came out, they were in the new arrival video. It was like, these are the new arrivals. And there was like a Donald Trump picture disc, and there was a Barack Obama picture disc, and I got a lot of hate mail for those. And I'm like, look, guys, and this has always been my story. I'm just showing you what came out. I didn't make this record, you know. And my go-to comment is, I don't listen to Justin Bieber either, but I sell it because somebody else might want it. But yeah, that was... that's going back a while. Yes, time off. But I'm going to watch some football here today, and I'm going to probably go grab lunch. My kid gets off of work here at 5 o'clock, so we're probably going to get some dinner. It's going to be like a nice day. Yeah, so this was fun. I will do more of them. I will show you real quick. I went to 2 record stores today. One more thing I'll show you guys, and then I'm going to leave. So I very seldomly get time to actually go to record stores, but I went to a record store here and I found 2 records. I mean, these are pretty cool. Check this out. Grand Funk, Shine On, but it's sealed. I mean, this is a hard record to find with the glasses. Everybody lost the glasses. But it's sealed, and it's got the original hype sticker on it. And the original price. Record price H. Price codes. And then I found just this nice clean copy of Tupelo Honey. Look at that. In shrink with the hype sticker. Let's see if the camera will focus on that. In shrink with the hype sticker. Just like a minty copy. Has the original poster. It's been months and months and months since I went to a record store. I actually, to be honest, I think the last record store that I went to that wasn't mine was in California when I went there. But yeah, if I have some days off, I'll be able to actually go to some record stores, which I enjoy. Because I like finding stuff like this. I mean, these aren't like the most earth-shattering records, but they're cool. They're clean and they're cool. All right, guys. That's it. Until next time. See if I can find the off button.